It is now 6:05, so I'll call the meeting to order. My name is Bill Schmidt, and I'm the chair of the Board of Health. With me is Susan McGuire, who's the member of the Board of Health. Astrid Wines, actually, vice chair of the board, was planning to attend, but unfortunately an important matter came up. She did arrange for WCAT to telerecord this, so that she and others will be able to review the testimony. Even though it's not required by law, the Board of Health is holding this public hearing because of the broad interest in general in smoking in workplaces and public places in order to provide a public forum for comments from all interested parties. A legal notice appeared in the Winthrop transcript on November 29th regarding this hearing. And the copies of the proposed regulation, they're over there. We also delivered letters, as you know, to restaurants as well as membership associations in town, so that they could not only come, but see what was in the regulation. So we're discussing the proposed changes to the Winthrop regulation prohibiting smoking in workplaces and public places. We have the regulation has been posted on the Town of Winthrop Board of Health website, and we, as I said, we have copies here. The mission of the Winthrop Board of Health is to protect, promote, and regulate public health in the Town of Winthrop. The Board of Health assumes a proactive approach in dealing with the challenges of public health. The Board of Health is granted authority by Massachusetts general laws to make reasonable health regulations. The proposed changes to the current regulation are based on our sincere belief they will benefit the public health of our fellow citizens in the town of Winthrop. As the purpose of this public hearing is to collect information and opinions, the board will not ask for a vote from the audience, nor will the board itself vote on the proposed regulation at this public hearing. We may discuss and vote on this regulation at our January meeting, which currently is scheduled for Tuesday the 8th at 6 o'clock. In addition to tonight's public hearing, the board will accept written testimony until Monday, December 31st. Comments can be submitted to the Winthrop Board of Health, care of 100 Kennedy Drive, Winthrop, Mass. 02152. The draft regulation, which is the subject of tonight's public hearing, contains 9 changes to the current regulation as follows. And in addition, before I just mention them, the Board of Health was before the Town Council Tuesday night, and we gave a presentation on the changes as well, so interested people might be able to see that on WCAT as well. I understand that's running now. So the changes are, we've added a purpose section. We've added a prohibition on the use of e-cigarettes, which currently is not in the regs. We've added a prohibition for membership associations and clubs. We've added an addition of a buffer zone, or prohibition within 25 feet of any municipal building entranceway. We've added prohibition on smoking bars, the addition of a prohibition in town-owned parks and beaches, the addition of a prohibition in nursing homes, the addition of a prohibition in bus stop shelters and waiting areas, and some stronger language prohibiting smoking in outdoor areas of restaurants, bars, and taverns. Let me take a moment just to explain that for you. So currently the regulations basically, and I'll read that section, state all outdoor areas where food and or beverages are served to the public by employees of restaurants, bars, and taverns. So the way that, there's a loophole there currently, so that if you had a restaurant that an outdoor seating area where the people actually went in and brought the food and went out and sat, and not being served by the employees, they could actually smoke there. So we've made a change to the regulation to cover that. So now the new section will be all outdoor areas of restaurants, bars, and taverns where food and or beverages are sold, served, or otherwise consumed or carried. Because we feel that we don't want a situation where somebody goes, they go to a restaurant, they get the food and they sit down here, particularly if we're gonna have more of a restaurant atmosphere maybe in the town. I know with some, they're talking about making some changes to the center area, so there might be some like common seating area. We would hate, for instance, a lot of people out there eating food, then somebody comes and smokes and there's no way to regulate that. So that's the change, basically dealing with restaurants that you may be concerned with. So basically, since we don't have a large number of people here, normally we have a smaller time frame limit, but basically if people want to speak, we won't limit their time. But what we do ask, and I think you have already signed in, and if you wish to speak, obviously we'll ask you for the record to identify who you are, name and address, and any professional affiliation you might have. If you want to comment one way or another on the regulations, you can do that. And basically that's kind of where we are. As I said before, there's still going to be a time period by which people will be able to submit testimony by the end of December 31st if people either aren't here tonight or if somebody, even if they were here, wants to submit something in writing later on. So I will now open that up for folks who want to speak. I guess first let's take people who want to speak in favor of any provision, and then second will be anyone who wants to speak in opposition. Does anyone want to say anything?
The floor is open.
We are here. If you have anything one way, positive, negative thoughts.
I was just looking for clarification. I looked at it online and didn't quite understand about in front of the building. I saw like they made a like you could have like a transitional smoker. I guess they could walk by.
Right.
They could put one out, but then I didn't understand. So like.
So that was just for municipal buildings.
Not for.
Not for all buildings. So,
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But
So,
I read that and I was just, yeah.
so as you probably know, there's already, in the existing statute and what's covered by state law, is you can't smoke in the workplace.
Right.
basically,
Right.
And you already know, in terms of running a restaurant, you can't obviously smoke within the restaurant. The provision we asked particularly was, and again, we don't have authority over private businesses to the same extent as we do over municipal.
Oh,
So that's why you'll see some of the sections that are in there dealing particularly with town-owned playgrounds,
okay.
parks, etc. So it's basically, we're establishing a buffer zone of 25 feet of a municipal, so that it's the town hall, the public library,
Got it.
those type of buildings, and so people will at least have to be that far away, because quite frankly, what happens is if you're right next to the building right up front, the smoke seeps into the building.
Right.
So that particular provision is only for municipal buildings.
Okay.
Any other comments, questions, concerns?
I guess I have a question.
Sure.
So the e-cigarette clause that states that wherever smoking is prohibited, e-cigarettes will be included in that?
Yes.
So nobody would be able to use electronic cigarettes on beaches or
Right.
parks,
Right.
anywhere in a restaurant? So, which right now is not identified as such, right?
Right, so the existing regs, which were written really, it was a few years ago, and it was really before there was any, I mean, e-cigarettes is relatively new technology, so it wasn't in the current one. So basically, yes, correct. The new provision says that e-cigarettes, the use of e-cigarettes is prohibited wherever smoking is prohibited.
Okay.
I would add to that, I'm Bonnie Carroll, the tobacco officer, and the state has just recently approved that that will be the language throughout the state, that particular part of this. in January. So you're ahead of the curve, but that will happen. And I could speak in favor if you.
Absolutely.
Just for a minute, since the Surgeon General says that there is absolutely no safe level of secondhand smoke, I just wanted to applaud this work of the Board of Health because you are ensuring the health of everybody in the town by saying that people are not exposed to secondhand smoke.
Thank you. Anything you might want to add, Mary? Since you're the only one who hasn't said anything.
No, nothing that,
Okay.
just, I like that e-cigarettes are being added, to the language. Yeah, no, nothing to add, I'm in full favor of it.
Want to help me?
Are you looking for the public hearing?
Yeah.
Yes, come in.
If you could sign in over here. You are just in time. Your name, sir?
David Reynolds.
Are you here representing in?
Contract info.
So we already kind of went through the introductory phase, kind of explained that. So we have added a section to the existing regulations prohibiting smoking in membership associations or clubs. And this is the purpose, because we've heard other communities have done that, as well as the fact that we've been informed that most of the clubs already have prohibitions against smoking. So we didn't take a big stretch. But obviously, since you're here, I'd like to hear any comments you have.
Excuse me, as you mentioned, Cottage Park was one of the first clubs in town to prohibit smoking inside the facility. I think the concern that the membership in the board of directors has currently would be the extension to the outside areas of the club, the pier and the deck. As I read the notice, the ban would extend to those areas that we currently allow smoking on our deck.
Well, the buffer zone is only for municipal buildings.
Okay.
A section on municipal buildings, it's only the 25-foot buffer. So basically, the club interpretation, I believe, is basically within the building.
Okay.
So when you get outside, it's not something that we should be regulating.
Okay, well, the clarification is that we have a side deck that's off our pilot house, which serves food and drink. And although we don't serve out there, people do take their food and drink out there, so the concern was that it would extend to
Yeah,
that.
well, we are,
The way it was written, that.
no, that's right. We are actually extending that not just for clubs, but for anyone, because when we have a situation where we've felt this, is that people have, first of all, secondhand smoke is dangerous, as you know. And so if people are out now, the way it's all for restaurants, so any restaurant in town, or your own situation, if the food is not served, if people go inside to a restaurant, bring the food out, eat there, enjoying that, and then all of a sudden somebody sits down and starts smoking, there's nothing we can do to enforce that. And we've heard comments from people that they feel that that's not what we should be doing. If people clearly want to eat, they should be able to eat without having smoke. If somebody wants to smoke, it should be separate, not have the two mixed.
I think the club's position is, at least from the people I've, and I'm on the board of directors of
Sure.
the club, we feel that there are mechanisms within the organization of our club to legislate that. Like I said, we were one of the first clubs that did prohibit smoking within inside the facility. there is no smoking allowed inside the clubhouse. The concern is obviously the outside sections of the club where, you know, food and drink are taken, not served but taken. So that's, you know, we feel that if there are members that are complaining as a private club, we have the means to legislate that ourselves. And there is no big huge cry right now at the club to mitigate that situation for us right now. If there were, then there's a board of directors and mechanisms within the framework of the club to mitigate that, and we feel that we should be left to do that.
Just also let you know, because there's 3 members on the board here, and our purpose here is to get input. I appreciate you coming. It's also being recorded. Our 3rd member was going to attend, but she had another important thing come up. So with the tape, she'll be able to watch it.
Sure.
And hear your testimony as well as other people. And by the way, if you also wanted to submit written testimony, we're going to accept written testimony through the end of...
Yeah, we are going to prepare something.
Okay.
And we'll submit that at a later date.
So great. Any other particular comments that you have?
No, just, you know, I certainly can sympathize. I'm not a smoker, never have been a smoker. So it's not that it's just, I think the club's position is that we feel that we have a mechanism within the private organization of our club to legislate any rule, should there, you know, be complaints of other membership, because it is a private membership club, and we feel that, you know, we should be left to legislate ourselves for our private club.
Okay, great. Well, I appreciate you coming.
Just one comment, so if you are going to submit something in writing, it would be due by...
31st.
31st.
Yeah, and the address is with the Board of Health, care of 100 Kennedy Drive, obviously Winter, Mass. 152.
Thank you.
Did you get a copy of the regs itself?
I saw it on the website.
Because there's a hard copy if you want to take one.
Okay, I will, thank you.
Okay.
You know that it is still draft, so...
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the purpose is to get feedback. So that's interesting to know because, as you said, I had heard that the clubs, most of the clubs in town had prohibited smoking, but good that you point out that particular case.
Right, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of the other. I can
No,
speak
no,
on behalf of our-
no, but I'm saying is that particular section that you have.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good for us to know. Okay. Any other testimony from anyone? Okay. Then I will declare that hearing is closed at 6:22. Also, you weren't here for it, so what, since we're accepting testimony through the end of the month, our January meeting would be the first meeting where we may vote on this. And that meeting currently is scheduled for Tuesday, January 8th at 6 o'clock.
At 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
I apologize for the late, but.
No.
The middle-aged tunnel doesn't.
No, I'm glad you made it. It would be a shame if you came to 10 minutes from now and we were there. So,
Great, thank you.
so we may vote at that point.
Okay. That's good.
And appreciate everyone for coming. All right, thank you.